carried out my first anatomical dissection. My instruments were a kitchen knife, 2 mustard spoons made of bone, 4 millinery pins, and a measuring rod. The cadaver was a starling. I performed this feat of exploration in our coal cellar, into which, through the coal hole, came a crepuscular light, augmented a little by the 2 candles I placed on my dissecting tray. As I cut into the thorax, a well of excitement began to fill and glimmer within me. I suddenly recognized, caught a glimpse of my own future. 2. At Caius College, Cambridge, in 1647, I met my poor friend, Pierce. We were both by then students of anatomy, and though our natures are so antipathetic, our rejection of Galenic theory, coupled with our desire to discover the precise function of each part of the body in relation to the whole, formed a bond between us. One evening, Pierce came up to my room in a state of hilarious perturbation. His face, habitually grey-toned and flaky, was rubicund and damp, his stern green eyes suddenly afflicted with a louche brightness. Merivel, he babbled. Come down to my room. A person is standing in it who has a visible heart. Have you been drinking, Pierce? I asked.
No, exploded Pierce. Now come down and you'll see for yourself this extraordinary phenomenon. And for a shilling, the person says he will permit us to touch it.
Touch his heart?
Yes.
It's not a cadaver, then, if its mind is on money.
Now come, Merivel, before he flees into the night and is lost to our research for all eternity.
We descended to Pierce's room, where a fire was burning in the small grate. In front of the fire stood a man of perhaps 40 years.
"Shall I unbutton?"
he asked Pierce.
"Yes,"
said Pierce, his voice choking with anticipation.
"Unbutton, sir."
I watched as the man took off his coat and lace collar and began loosening his shirt. He let the shirt fall to the floor. Bound to his chest and covering his heart was a steel plate. Pierce at this moment took a handkerchief from his sleeve and mopped his moist brow. The man removed the plate, under which was a wad of linen, a little stained with pus. Carefully, he unbound the linen and revealed to us a large hole in his breast about the size of a pippin apple, in the depths of which, as I leaned forward to look more closely at it, I saw a pink and moist, fleshy substance, moving all the time with a regular pulse.
"See,"
exclaimed Pierce, the heat of whose excited body seemed to fill the room with a tropical dampness.
"See it retract and thrust out again. We are witnessing a living, beating heart."
The man smiled and nodded.
"Yes,"
he said.
"A fracture of my ribs, occasioned by a fall from my horse 2 years ago, was brought to a terrible suppuration, voiding such a quantity of putrefaction that my doctors feared it would never heal. It did, however. You can see the sconce of the old ulcer at the edge of the hole here. But its ravages were so deep as to expose the organ beneath."
I was dumbfounded. To observe, in a living being, standing nonchalantly by a fire, the systole and diastole of his heart affected me profoundly. I began to understand why Pierce was in such a lather of excitement. But then Pierce produced a shilling from the greasy leather purse in which he kept his pitiful worldly income, and gave it to the stranger, and the man took it and said, "You may touch it if you wish." I let Pierce go first. I saw his thin white hand creep forwards and tremblingly enter the thoracic cavity. The man remained still and smiling. He didn't flinch.
"You may," he said to Pierce, "put your hand around the heart and exert gentle pressure."
Pierce's thin mouth dropped open. Then he swallowed and withdrew his hand.
"I cannot do that, sir,"
he stammered.
"Then perhaps your friend will?"
said the man. I rolled back the lace at my wrist. Now my own hand was shaking. My hand entered the cavity.